back to Bloomberg Technology. I'm Emily Chang. The recent groundswell of women speaking out and alleging gender discrimination at tech and venture capital firms is shedding light on the rocky terrain women face culturally and professionally in Silicon Valley. Google, Microsoft, Oracle, Uber, and Twitter are all facing similar lawsuits on this matter. Tina Huang, a former engineer at Twitter, filed a suit 2 years ago alleging the company systematically thwarts the advancement of female engineers. Since then, she's been gathering data on gender and pay for her peers and believes she can prove that Twitter stacked the deck. And by early next year, she plans to ask a state judge for permission to represent 133 female engineers at Twitter. This would be the first group case of its kind in Silicon Valley if it's certified. Twitter has rejected these claims in court filings. Joining me now to discuss our Bloomberg News legal reporter Joel Rosenblatt, who covers this case and other cases in California, and Jason Lohr, an employment attorney who represents Tina Huang. So, Jason, first of all, a lot of these cases get dropped, they get settled, attorneys don't take them. What makes this case different?
Well, I think what makes this case different is the plaintiff, is Ms. Huang herself. She feels very strongly that she was denied a promotion due to her gender. She feels that her contemporaries at Twitter, other female engineers, have also been denied advancement, and she's really willing to take this case to trial.
But how do we know she was denied these things based on her gender and not her performance?
Well, so in this case, so this is a class action case, and many of these cases, discrimination cases, are individual cases. In this case, she's seeking to represent all of the women engineers at Twitter. And the case is based on a theory called disparate impact. And what that means is basically the promotion process, while maybe it wasn't devised to discriminate against women, the impact of the process adversely affects women. And to put it simply, what we're saying is that it took women longer to get promotions, and fewer women had promotions than we might expect.
Ellen Pao felt passionately about her case too. Joel, what do you think makes this case different?
Well, so Ellen Pao's case was really about Ellen Pao. There was discrimination claims in her suit, but there was a lot of harassment. It was more focused on the harassment, and it was focused on Ellen Pao. This is, as Jason was explaining, is about a systematic bias at Twitter against women. So it differs a lot from Ellen Pao's case in that way in particular.
Twitter did give you a statement saying Twitter is deeply committed to a diverse and supportive workplace, and we believe the facts will show Ms. Huang was treated fairly. Joel, what do you think is the likelihood this actually gets certified as a class action suit? There is no precedent for this.
There's no precedent that I'm aware of. I think what this is going to turn on is the data that Tina is able to turn up, extract from Twitter, and marshal in her favor. And if she's able to extract numbers and data that support her case, it seems like there's a good chance. I think it all depends on that. I've seen some of those numbers, and they initially filed in the lawsuit. They've changed. There's a dispute between Tina and Twitter about those numbers that's going to be resolved or taken up in court this week on Thursday.
So, Jason, what can you tell us about these numbers and what they show?
Well, of course, I'm hesitant to talk about getting into the nitty-gritty of the evidence of this case. But what I can tell you is the data is going to be really important for us. What we're going to basically have to show is that fewer women were promoted than statistically we would think should happen. That's to say that more men are being promoted than women. And we're still working with Twitter to get that data. There's some bumps in the road, but I'm confident that that's what the data will show.
Now, I recently interviewed Megan Smith, who worked at Google for a very long time. She was CTO of the United States of America for a couple of years, and she had this to say about the broader discrimination that faces women in technology. Take a listen.
It's insidious and it's all around the culture, and then when you're getting it, it's so personal, it's hard, and it's agile. It's hard to understand it as a pattern, but it's almost class action if you can see the pattern.
So she says it's almost class action, sort of, speaking to this idea that women in tech might have, a broader, case here. Joel, if this case gets certified, what kind of a precedent could that set?
I think it's a big precedent, it's a very important case for that reason. What makes it special is this, along with the case against Microsoft, is very far along. Right? So we're at class certification. That's a big hurdle. If they get that and then they get to a decision, it would be enormously influential for other judges looking at similar cases going forward.
And how do you think the climate right now, I mean, we've seen many sexual harassment allegations, especially in the last year. We've seen men get fired. We've seen the CEO of Uber resign. Some people have said if Ellen Pao filed her suit today, maybe she would have won. Do you think the environment matters or will have an impact here?
I think the environment matters in terms of decisions, right? I think it matters for judges what cases came before. I don't think that the climate matters for judges. Juries, maybe Jason's probably the better person to ask about that. But I think the way the climate really shapes these shapes these kind of suits are in terms of encouraging and motivating other women to come forward. So I think you begin to see more of these cases, but how the outcomes kind of depend on precedent and the legal issues, I think.
Jason, have you been talking to other engineers at Twitter, female engineers at Twitter, and what do they say?
Well, so I think that the folks we've spoken with say that clearly there's a problem. And, if you look at the statistics from when we filed the case in 2015, if you looked across Twitter, 35% of the employees were women. If you looked at just the technical positions, engineers, less than 10% of those folks were women. And everyone we've spoken to seems to agree that that is impacting the work environment. Just the fact that the population there is skewed so heavily towards males.
So, next steps, when will we know for sure?
So the next step in our case is class certification, which we're hoping that the class will be certified, or at least we'll have a decision as early as March of next year. Once that's done, and assuming that we're able to proceed as a class action, then we need to get a little more data to see if we can really prove up what we're saying is happening over there.
All right, Jason Lohr, employment attorney representing Tina Huang, Joel Rosenblatt, our legal reporter. Thank you both. We'll keep following the story.